This clip is sponsored by Med Travelers. If you're an SLP interested in travel therapy, visit medtravelers.com to get started. When you're explaining like sensory integration and regulation to a parent or another educator, how do you explain it?
So I have a couple things I do. One, I really like to make up analogies. They usually come out of nowhere.
She's
And
the
now
best at this.
I have so many analogies I use. But I think one of the biggest things when you're talking to other people is really framing it in a way where they can truly understand what it means, you know? So I like to give parents examples of what that might look like for them, you know? So like if their child has a noise sensitivity, and they cover their ears when the toilet flushes, I might say to the parent, imagine if the sound of the toilet flushing sounded like you were standing in the back of an airplane, behind an airplane as it's taking off. So for kids who have that hypersensitivity to different sensory inputs, it's not that they are just reacting bigger, it's that they're feeling this input with greater intensity. So we actually recently we have a weekly live show that we do called Making the Shift, and we just interviewed two different autistic friends and colleagues the last 2 weeks. And I don't know if you realize this, they both said the same thing, which was they used to tell people that loud noises hurt them. And people would say to them, no, no, that's just loud. So they grew up with this language of not being able to describe what that was like for them because they were being invalidated. No, that's not, it doesn't hurt. It's just loud. It's just loud. But it really hurt them because that's how big of, great of an intensity these sounds that might be everyday sounds for other people felt to them. So I think being able to describe that to parents is so helpful. Another one might be like, imagine you spent like 12 hours at Disneyland, how much you want to just get home and turn off the lights, turn on the TV, get a glass of wine. Like imagine that feeling, you having that feeling every time you step foot inside of a classroom. Your kid is feeling really overwhelmed, really overstimulated, but they're not able to have that time to turn off the lights and kick up their feet. They're just going, going, going. So trying to come up with ways that they can relate to it, I think really helps.
Yeah, and then of
absolutely.
course,
She has this other analogy about the eggs in the basket one that I love too.
Oh, I was going to say the seesaw.
Or the
That's
seesaw.
probably more relevant.
This is there's the sensory analogies by Jessie Ginsburg. If you just go on Amazon, no, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, a really simple analogy I use is for parents and professionals is imagine a child's sensory processing as a seesaw. And when the seesaw is balanced, that means the child is regulated. I call that their optimal learning zone, meaning their brain is in the best position for learning. They are learning at the most efficient way possible when their seesaw is balanced. And then if you think about a tipped seesaw, that represents a dysregulated child. And they're not in their optimal learning zone. They are dysregulated. So I think what happens so often in our therapy is we see signs of dysregulation. We see the seesaw starting to tip, little more, and we just keep going in our therapy. We keep asking the questions, we keep on with whatever we're trying to do, but all that does is further dysregulate the child, tips the seesaw even more. When in reality, what we really need to do when we see those signs of dysregulation is focus on getting that seesaw back to center, because that is the only way we are going to get the most out of the child, and the child's going to get the most out of the session. They have to be in that optimal learning zone.
Yeah, and I mean honestly, you're so right. If it's almost like they're not available to learn unless they're, because it's like I can't shut out the noise of the other things that are happening. So of course I'm not going to be able to focus on what somebody's saying to me.